For more than 70 years, one currency has quietly ruled the world. The price is oil. It settles wars without soldiers. It decides which nations rise and which collapse. The US dollar. But today something strange is happening. Countries are trading without it. Central banks are selling it. Rivals are building alternatives. And trust, the one thing money cannot exist without, is quietly eroding. Here's the mystery. If the dollar is so dominant, if it still makes up nearly 90% of global forex transactions, if it remains the world's primary reserve currency, why does it feel like the ground beneath it is shifting? History tells us something unsettling. No global currency has ever lasted forever. Not the Roman denarius. Not the Spanish silver real. Not the British pound. Each collapse followed the same pattern: power, confidence, overreach, decline. So, the real question isn't if the dollar will lose its grip. The real question is, what happens to the global economy when it does? And more importantly, who pays the price? To understand the dollar's potential decline, we must first understand why it rose. Money is not just paper. It is belief enforced by power. Throughout history, global currencies shared three traits. 1. Economic dominance. 2. Military and political power. 3. Deep, trusted financial markets. The Roman Empire had legions. Spain had silver mines. Britain had trade routes and naval control. And in the 20th century, America had all three. But the dollar didn't become king by accident. It emerged from chaos. World War II changed everything. By 1944, Europe was in ruins. Factories destroyed. Currencies shattered. Gold reserves drained. Meanwhile, the United States stood untouched, holding over 70% of the world's gold. That year, 44 nations met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The deal was simple, but revolutionary. The dollar would be backed by gold. Other currencies would be backed by the dollar. The US would anchor global stability. The dollar became as good as gold. But here's the hidden trade-off no one talked about. To supply the world with dollars, America had to run deficits. And deficits have consequences. The Nixon shock. By the late 1960s, cracks were forming. America was fighting Vietnam, funding welfare programs, printing dollars faster than gold reserves could support. Foreign governments noticed. France began demanding gold for dollars. And in 1971, President Richard Nixon made a decision that changed history. He closed the gold window. The dollar was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by faith. Most people expected collapse. Instead, the dollar became stronger. What? Because of a quiet, powerful arrangement few civilians ever noticed. The petrodollar deal. The US struck a deal with Saudi Arabia. The oil would be sold only in dollars and America would provide military protection. Excess dollars would flow back into US debt. Oil, the lifeblood of industrial civilization, was now chained to the dollar. This created artificial, permanent demand. The dollar became unavoidable. And for decades it worked. But systems that rely on infinite confidence carry a hidden weakness. Debt without limits. America discovered something intoxicating. As long as the dollar ruled, it could borrow endlessly. Trade deficits didn't matter. Debt didn't matter. Money printing didn't matter. Until it did. By the early 2000s, US national debt surpassed GDP. Manufacturing hollowed out. Financialization replaced production. Then came 2008, the global financial crisis. Banks collapsed. Markets froze. Trust evaporated overnight. The US responded by creating trillions of dollars. Quantitative easing saved the system, but at a cost. The world learned a dangerous lesson. The dollar could be weaponized and diluted at will. Confidence survived, but it was no longer unquestioned. Sanctions as financial warfare. Over the last 2 decades, the dollar transformed from neutral medium to geopolitical weapon. Countries were cut off from SWIFT, dollar clearing, global trade, Iran, Russia, Venezuela. Then in 2022, something unprecedented happened. Russia's foreign reserves were frozen. Hundreds of billions, untouchable. And that's when the world asked a terrifying question. If reserves aren't really yours, are they safe at all? Raising rates. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates aggressively. This strengthened the dollar, but crushed emerging markets. Debt crises erupted globally. The fix created new fractures. Digital dollars and CBDCs. Central banks proposed digital currencies. But digital control does not equal trust. In fact, it often does the opposite. Friendshoring and trade blocs. The world fragmented. BRICS expanded. Local currency trade increased. Gold purchases surged. Not because nations hated the dollar, but because they feared dependence. Every reserve currency followed the same arc. Expansion. Overreach. Debt monetization. Loss of trust. The British pound collapsed after World War II. It didn't vanish overnight. It faded. Quietly. Gradually. Then suddenly. The dollar shows the same symptoms. Not collapse. Erosion. This isn't about apocalypse. It's about redistribution of power. Higher inflation for Americans. Higher borrowing costs. Reduced geopolitical leverage. A multipolar currency world. Trade becomes fragmented. Growth slows. Volatility increases. The world becomes noisier. 3 key takeaways. Reserve currencies don't fall because of rivals. They fall because of internal excess. Weaponizing money accelerates alternatives. 3. The dollar's decline won't be sudden, but the consequences will be permanent. Final warning. The most dangerous moment in any financial system is when people assume it cannot change. The dollar may not collapse tomorrow, but the world is quietly preparing for a future where it no longer sits alone at the center. And when trust shifts, everything follows. If you want to understand the hidden forces shaping global power, currency wars, and financial history, subscribe to the channel. Because the biggest changes in the world don't start with explosions. They start in balance sheets. And by the time most people notice, it's already too late.